إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. I praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and thank Him. And we thank Him subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to have the like of these gatherings with our brothers and sisters in Islam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us beneficial knowledge that produces righteous actions. And we ask Him subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us all upon the path, His path, that leads to His pleasure and to the gardens of paradise. Ameen. We'll continue studying together and reviewing together this very important matter and topic, which is the Salat, from the book Al-Mulakhas Al-Fiqhi of the noble Shaykh Al-Allama Al-Walid Al-Dr. Salih bin Fawzan Al-Fawzan حفظه الله تعالى وغفر له ولوالديه وللمسلمين والمسلمات آمين. We mentioned the pillars of the conditions of the Salat and the pillars of the Salat. Who can give me, not all of them, but few conditions of the Salat? Just few conditions, couple of conditions. Now, Talha.
Standing in the direction of the Qibla.
Facing the Qibla, Ahsan. That's one of the conditions of the Salat. Another condition from the conditions of the Salat. Abdul Rahim.
Covering one's arm.
I know, covering one the aura, covering properly for the Salat. Another condition from the...
Saying a surah after Surah Fatiha.
Not yet. No. The conditions, once again, are those things that we do before we start the Salat. Those are the conditions. Now, Ahsant, make sure you're upon. What's your name again? Iyan. Making wudu. Make sure you're in a state of purification before you pray. Now, Jazakumullah khair. What is some of the pillars of the Salat? Not all of them, a couple here and there. Ahsant. Very good, Akhi Farid. The first takbirah, that's takbirat al-ihram, that's a pillar from the pillars of the Salat. Now, another pillar from the pillars of the Salat. Remember, the pillars is something that is in the Salat. Now, and remind me your name? Gavin, okay.
I think you have to stand and
Ahsan.
stand, you can sit.
Very good. Standing, if able, in the obligatory prayer. Jazakallah khairan, Gavin. Very good. Standing, if able, in the obligatory prayers. And if you cannot stand, then you can sit. And if you cannot sit, you can even lay down and pray, and Allah will accept from you, alhamdulillah. What else? Adam? You're the only Adam here today, so that's you. The other two didn't show up, so alhamdulillah, you answer for all of them. He said it, Farid said that.
Then I'm saying on Surah Al-Fatiha.
Reciting Surah Al-Fatiha. Ahsant. Surah Al-Fatiha, not the Surah. Surah is something else. Surah Al-Fatiha in every rak'ah is one of the pillars. Now, Abdul Rahim. Ruku'. Ahsant. Talha.
Rising from ruku'.
Raising up from ruku'. Okay, and standing straight after that. Don't just before a person goes down. No. What else? No fun. Sujood. Ahsant. Sujood. Alright, so these are some of the pillars. It's good. We should mix between pillars and conditions. They stays in category. Now we're going to continue learning about the wajibat of as-salah. Okay? The wajibat. The obligatory acts or the requirements, okay, of the salah. And they are 8. Remember these requirements here, the difference between them and the pillars is that if a person willingly chooses not to perform any of these, he's sinful and salat is void. But if a person forgets one of these obligatory acts and he could not get to it fast because that person already now is busy with another pillar, then he will just continue doing what he's doing and prostrate twice for they call it sujood as-sahw, the prostration of forgetfulness, at the end of the salah. The first of these 8 obligatory elements, all the takbirs of the prayer beside the first one. Why beside the first one? Why the first one is not included? Adam?
Because it's a pillar.
Ahsan, because the first one, as Farid says earlier, it's a pillar. So since it's already a pillar, so it's not included. So all the takbirat, who can give me some takbirat, for example, that is a wajib? Naam, Talha?
So once we're done praying, reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, we recite another surah. And
Before going to ruku',
we're going to ruku', we
you say Allahu Akbar. That's wajib. Another example, Gavin? We say Allahu Akbar to go to sujood, for example. When you raise up from ruku', you don't say Allahu Akbar, you say Sami'a Allahu liman hamida, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. And then if you want to say the dua, and then going to sujood, you say Allahu Akbar. Raising up from sujood, you say Allahu Akbar. Going back for sujood, you say Allahu Akbar. Raising up for the second rak'ah, you say Allahu Akbar. All these takbirats are from the wajibat. الثاني, the second of these 8 obligatory elements, this saying of Sami'a Allahu liman hamida. Saying Sami'a Allahu liman hamida. Okay? So the ulama, they said this is to be said by the imam and by the one who's pray by himself when you raise up. And also some of the ulama also they says it is said also by the person who's praying behind the imam. Even the imam says Sami'a Allahu liman hamida, you should say Rabbana wa lakal hamd. But some of the ulama they say you can still say both. The third, at-tahmid, saying Rabbana wa lakal hamd. So especially when the imam say Sami'a Allahu liman hamida, you say Rabbana wa lakal hamd. The fourth, saying Subhana Rabbi al-Azim once in ruku'. When you go in ruku', you say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim at least once. That one time is what it makes it obligation, obligatory act. But if you say it more than that, that becomes sunnah. The fifth, saying Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. And you say this, where we say Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, Kevin? In Ahsan. That is called, you're right, that is called sujood or prostration. Okay? Or you can say prostration. When you prostrate, by putting your head and forehead and nose and, okay, on the ground. Likewise, saying it one time in sujood, that's a requirement. You can say it 3 times, that becomes sunnah. The sixth one saying Rabbi ghfirli. Rabbi ghfirli. Rabbi ghfirli. When do we say this? We say this when we sit between the two prostrations. When you go down for the first sujood, Allahu Akbar, and you say Subhana Rabbi al-Ala, Subhana Rabbi al-Ala, Subhana Rabbi al-Ala, and then you raise your head. But if you want to make dua, you can. But once you raise your head from the first sujood, you should sit and say Rabbi ghfirli, which means, Oh Allah, forgive me. Oh Lord, my Lord, forgive me. And you can say it more than one time, and you become a sunnah. The seventh one, at-tashahhud al-awwal. The first tashahhud, in the salat they have two tashahhuds, like Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib and Isha. And which is to say, at-tahiyyatu lillahi, was-salawatu wat-tayyibatu, السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. This is one of the ways to say the tashahhud. You're saying that in the first tashahhud, that's from the obligatory elements. The last one, الجلوس للتشهد الأول, sitting for the tashahhud. So when you finish the second rak'ah, you complete the second rak'ah, before you stand up for the third one, for Maghrib, or the third one for Dhuhr, Asr and Isha, then you sit and make that tashahhud. Then you say Allahu Akbar and get up for the third rak'ah. Because the Prophet ﷺ used to do that. And he said, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. Pray as you have seen me pray. The Shaykh said, if anyone leave off any of these 8 obligatory acts, whether those are related to the statements or actions, on purpose, someone just say, I'm not going to do this, not going to make tashahhud. That make his salat void, and sinful. Because this person is playing with his salat. We don't play with the salat. We don't tamper with the prayer. We don't take it upon ourselves to say whatever we want, to do whatever we want. But if someone leave off any of these 8 out of forgetfulness or out of ignorance, that person will prostrate. 2 prostration at the end of the salat. That's what the ulama, they call them, the prostration of forgetfulness. Okay? Now, Al-Qism al-Thalith, so these are the 8 takbirat, the 8 obligatory elements. Can anyone tell us these 8, inshallah, even if you have to read from your notes? Now, Talha, number 1.
One is to stand while performing obligatory prayer. Stand.
To stand? Yeah, what are you reading? From the wajibat, the obligatory act? The first of those 8 is what? To stand? Talha, no. Read from your notes, because if your notes are not correct, then you can correct them right now. So the standing is the first of the pillars, not an obligatory element.
Oh,
Okay, so standing, if able, in the obligatory prayer, that's the first pillar of the pillars of the salah. The first of this obligatory act, this 8, is, what is it, Adam? All the takbirat except for takbirat al-ihram. Okay, what's number 2? Talha. You lost the page?
Okay, takbir.
Nah.
You are talking about conditions, right?
No. We're not talking about conditions. We're talking about what we're talking about now. What we
124.
just took right now. We're just talking about what we took so far right now, today. I want you to read from your notes. What did you write today? What is the page you wrote today? Not this. That's what you wrote today? What is it?
Imam Muslim related that Aisha radiallahu anhu
Imam Muslim related on Aisha?
related that Aisha radiallahu anhu narrated that when Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised his head after prostration, he did not prostrate himself again until he had sat erect.
We did not say that. Until he said what?
Until he sat erect. So he's talking about in between.
But we didn't say that. I don't know. What do you write down? You wrote from there?
No.
Yeah, see, now you need to pay attention to the class. Okay? Now, the second of those, Adam, we'll go with you. Second,
The tasmi.
tasmiyah. What does it mean, tasmiyah? Any of you know? Ayan, Gavin? What's tasmiyah now, Farid? Ahsan, remember, tasmiyah is when you say, Sami'a Allahu liman hamida. Do you know where we say that? Where do you say it? What position of the salat you say, Sami'a Allahu liman hamida? Is it at first, as soon as you stand, say, Sami'a Allahu liman hamida? Ayan?
When you go up from
Ruku'.
like this.
Ahsan, that's called ruku'. Exactly. When you raise up from ruku', while you're rising up, you say, Sami'a Allahu liman hamida. What is the third one? Where is the third? Abdul Rahim, the third of these 8 obligatory. Tahmeed. You know what it means, tahmeed? What does it mean, tahmeed, Gavin? You know? To say, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. And that's after when you raise up from ruku' completely, you say, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. What is the first one, Talha?
The fourth one is Subhana Rabbiyal Azim.
Where do you say that?
When you're in the
Ruku'. How many times?
the minimum of 1.
No, one. One is what's obligatory. No, one is what's obligatory. Anything more than that is sunnah. The fifth one. Who can read, Gavin? The fifth one.
Rabbil Allah.
Ahsant. Saying Subhan Rabbi al-A'la.
You say while you're in sujood.
Ahsant. Barakallah fi, Gavin. Is your bird giving you the answers?
No.
He's right there by your ear. Your bird, this boy Gavin, he's 8. And he has a bird, parakeet, he brought in the class. And he's right by his ear. Alright, Jazakallah khair. What is number 6? Farid, number 6.
Invoking Allah, saying, "O Lord, forgive me once between the 2 prostrations."
But what do we say
Allah
in Arabic? Rabbi ghfirli. Ahsan, Rabbi ghfirli. Number 7, Nawfal.
Number 7 is reciting the first tasbih.
Tashahhud.
Tashahhud.
Ahsan. First, tashahhud. Can you recite that tashahhud?
In Arabic,
Yes.
Allahumma salli.
التحيات لله
لله والصلوات والطيبات السلام على محمد وعلى
عليك أيها النبي
يا أيها النبي ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى
without تعالى ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا
السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله.
أحسنت بارك الله فيك. And number 8, who wants to say number 8? Abdul Rahim.
Sitting for the first tashahhud.
Sitting for the first tashahhud. I know. أحسنتم بارك الله فيك. The third section in this chapter, Sunan al-Salat. The acts of Sunnah to be observed during the prayer. This is, in this category here, these are those actions and statements that you do that does not fit under the other 2. Anything that you do in the Salat that it is not in the category of the pillars and it is not in the category of the obligatory elements. It falls in this one. So I don't want to hear ruku'. Why?
Sunnah obligatory.
Ahsan, because ruku' is what? What ruku', Ikhwan? What category is ruku'?
Obligatory.
Is a pillar. Ruku' is a pillar. Saying, maybe he wants to say, so he's saying Subhan Rabbi al-Azim in ruku' is an obligatory. Likewise, I don't want to hear the first tashahhud. Why?
It is a pillar.
It's not a pillar.
It is a wajib.
It's a wajib from the wajibat. So he cannot be from the sunnah. Likewise, I don't want to hear the last tashahhud. Why? Because the last tashahhud is what? In what category? Pillar. Ahsant, Farid. Good. So that's why the Shaykh says, it's easy. Once you learn what are the pillars and what are the requirements, the wajibat, anything else in the salat, in the salat, not wudu, and in the salat, is sunnah. And the salat is not invalid if you don't do these things. It doesn't. And these sunan are on two types. The first one, sunan al-aqwal. These are the sunnah by statements. You say certain things. Like dua al-istiftah. There are many. Like istiftah. Subhanaka wa bihamdika, la ilaha anta astaghfir. There is some ad'iyah that you say. And also, التعود, saying أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم before you recite. Fatiha, for instance. Saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Saying Ta'meen, Ameen after Surah Al-Fatiha. You see, these are all the sunnah. If you don't do these things, your salat is still valid. Reciting Farid, reciting a surah after Fatiha, or whatever you can from Quran, is from Sunnah. It's Salat al-Fajr, Salat al-Jumu'ah, al-Eid, Kusuf, and all that. The two rak'at, first rak'at of Maghrib, Isha, and Dhuhr and Asr. Likewise from the Sunnah to say, ملء السماء وملء الأرض وملء ما شئت من شيء بعده, after you say ربنا ولك الحمد. And whatever you say more than once in ruku' Subhan Rabbi al-Azim, and in sujood Subhan Rabbi al-A'la. Likewise, if you say Rabbi ighfirli more than once, you want to say it twice, that second time is sunnah. The first one time is from the wajibat. Likewise, saying Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min jahannam wa min adhab al-qabr wa min fitnat al-mahya wa al-mamat wa min fitnat al-masih al-dajjal. This is a dua you say once you complete the last tashahhud. When you complete the last tashahhud and before you make taslim, it is good to say that dua, seeking refuge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the punishment of the hellfire, from the punishment of the grave, from the fitna of the living and death, and from the fitna of the trial of the Masih al-Dajjal. And even after that, if you are praying by yourself, or the Imam still making the tashahhud, didn't say taslim yet, you can make dua for yourself, for your parents, for your family, for the Muslims and the like. The second type of the sunan is sunan by actions. Like raising your hands at the first takbirat al-ihram. Takbirat al-ihram, what is it? What category is that? It's a pillar. You don't just like say, I can say it or not. No, you gotta say it. By raising your hand, say Allahu Akbar, that's a sunnah. If a person didn't raise his hands, salah is still valid. Likewise, now you're reciting the Quran, you finish and you go into ruku', you can raise your hand and say Allahu Akbar. Likewise, when you say Sami Allahu Hamida, you can raise your hands. That's good. Some people, they don't. Their salah is still valid. Likewise, while you're reciting, when you say Allahu Akbar, and you put your right hand on the left on your chest. That's from the Sunnah. While you're standing, you look your eyes and to the place of your prostration. Likewise, putting your hands on your knees while you're in ruku'. That's also from the Sunnah. Making sure that when you're in sujood, your belly does not touch your thighs. That's also from the Sunnah. Okay? Or the shins from the thighs. Likewise, making sure that your back is straight in the ruku'. That's from the Sunnah. In a way that you don't raise your head up, you don't put it the whole way down like some people do while they're in ruku'. Likewise, make sure that your forehead, your nose, and the rest of those body parts that should touch the ground, they firmly touch in the ground. Okay? That's from the Sunnah as well. So then there is more than that from the statements and the action of the Sunnah. He said, keep in mind that this Sunnah now is not obligatory upon you to fulfill them or to perform them in the Salat. But if you choose to do all of them, alhamdulillah, it's good for you. And you get extra rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if a person did not fulfill some of them or all of them, there is nothing against that person. Okay, there's nothing against him. So therefore, when you learn these things, you're not going to be arguing with somebody who didn't raise his hand. You may be praying next to a person, and then when you went for the ruku' and you raise your hand and say, Allahu Akbar, he didn't. Right after the salat, you're like, Akhi, why you didn't raise your hand? If he said, I don't have to, A'udhu Billah, why you don't have to? You're not a Muslim? I am a Muslim. Why are you talking to me like that? And they start fighting over something that they shouldn't be fighting. You shouldn't even fight in period. We don't fight. Even if you disagree with your brother, you talk to him nicely, kindly. If you see that the conversation is not going in the right way, just say, look, Akhi, we can't talk another time. Okay? So you're not going to say that he's a mubtadi' because he didn't put his hands on his chest. Whereas that's from the Sunnah. Okay? Barakallahu feekum. Mubtadi' is an innovator. Some people, for this thing, they consider the other as an innovator. He's an innovator because he didn't raise his hands with takbir. No, he's not an innovator. He's just someone who didn't perform one act of sunnah that he lost the reward for it, but his salat is still valid. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay? That's what the Shaykh says. He said, from this you see there is no need for some youth, they be so stern and mutashaddid, so tough on the people, Allah musta'an. Some of them, they like it's a sunnah, but they think it's pillar, and they want to fight for it. Even a pillar you don't fight for it. You teach the people with a good way, a nice way. They accept, alhamdulillah. They don't accept, it's okay. Maybe later on they may accept, who knows? They may never accept. That's not up to you. No. And the Shaykh mentioned some people, the way they pray and they want to put their hands away Yes, putting your arms and elbows away from your sides, that's good. But if you pray next to people, you don't want to elbow somebody for you to practice the sunnah. You can take it easy. Take it easy. You never know. There are people that in front of you, next to you, that is sick, has the conditions, and the like, ya ikhwan. So it's very important for us to remember that. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us and to aid us and help us. What we're going to do, inshallah ta'ala, after this, we're going to complete this class by a chapter about Sifat al-Salat, a description of the Salat. Okay? Since we learn these things, now here is the chapter manner of prayer. The Shaykh, he says, after we have made clear to you the pillars, the wajibat, sunan, as a rate to statement actions in the salat, now he wants to mention the description of the prayer that includes these pillars, wajibat and sunan, in accordance to what came in the text that described to us the Prophet's prayer, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because this is the example for us. We don't pray because that's how my parents pray. This is how my tribe pray. This is how my masjid pray. Now we pray according to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, because he's the one who say, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli, pray as you have seen me pray. So the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, when he's about to pray, he faced the Qibla, he raised his hands, the palms of his hands facing the Qibla, and he say, Allahu Akbar. Then he will hold his left hand with the right, like this. The ulama, they said you can put it on top of it, or you can hold the wrist, or you can put it on the forearm, like this, on your chest. Then he will make the dua of istiftah. Prophet ﷺ, that opening his supplication before he recited Al-Fatiha, he used to say more than once. So as long as you know what the Prophet ﷺ say, then inshallah you can say that. From that is the famous one, Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik wa tabarak asmuka wa ta'ala jadduk wa la ilaha ghayruk. Then after that, the Prophet ﷺ would say, A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytan ar-rajim, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Then the Prophet ﷺ will say and recite Surah Al-Fatiha, and at the end of it, the Prophet ﷺ would say, Ameen. Then after that, the Prophet ﷺ would recite a surah, a chapter. Sometimes a long one, sometimes a short one, sometimes a medium one between. But however, the Prophet ﷺ recitation used to be longer in Salat al-Fajr, more than the other salawat. And the Prophet ﷺ used to recite loud, and this is from the Sunan also, in Fajr and the first 2 rak'ats of Maghrib and Isha. And all the rest of the units, the Prophet ﷺ, he used to be silent. He would recite, but silently. And the Prophet ﷺ, his sunnah that he used to, the first rak'ah is usually longer, slightly longer than the second one. Then the Prophet ﷺ will raise his hands and say Allahu Akbar and go for ruku', putting his hands on his knees, or grasping his knees, making sure that his back is straight and his head is level with his back. Doesn't put it down, doesn't put it up. And he says Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. Then the Prophet ﷺ would raise up his head saying Sami'a Allahu liman hamida, while raising his hands with that as well. While the Prophet ﷺ is standing straight, he would say Rabbana wa lakal hamd. And the Prophet ﷺ, he used to stand for a while in that position and make some dua. Then the Prophet ﷺ will make takbir, say Allahu Akbar, and go for sujood, prostration. In this case, he does not raise his hands, okay, to go to sujood. And he will prostrate, making sure that his forehead touch the ground and nose, his two hands, the palms of his two hands, his two knees, and the tips of his toes. While the tips of his toes are facing the Qibla. Prophet ﷺ, he will feel a tranquil position in his prostration. Not like some people, they just prostrate. Their forehead barely touch the ground and they say Allahu Akbar and go back. Prophet ﷺ will stay there for a while. Make sure that your elbows are not touching the ground. Make sure that your elbows are not stuck to your sides. Likewise, your belly is not touching your thighs. وهكذا. He used to say Subhana Rabbi al-A'la in his sujood. And the Prophet ﷺ will raise his head from the first prostration saying Allahu Akbar, while putting his hands on his thighs, erecting his right foot and sitting on the left. And the Prophet ﷺ will say, Allahumma ghfirli warhamni wajburni wahdini warzuqni. Is another way Prophet ﷺ used to say. Or if you say Rabbi ghfirli, is enough. Then the Prophet ﷺ will make takbir to go for the second sujood, second prostration. And now that he will do the same thing in the second rak'ah, what he just did in the first rak'ah, first unit. So when the Prophet ﷺ makes takbir and got up, then when he's straight up, he will recite again and do the second rak'ah the same way he did the first one. Then the Prophet ﷺ will sit for the tashahhud, the same way he sat in the sajdatain, between the two prostrations. And he will put his right hand on his right thigh and his left hand on his left thigh. But he will make a circle between his middle finger and his thumb and put his index finger straight. And he will say تحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Then the Prophet ﷺ will get up saying Allahu Akbar for the third rak'ah of Maghrib and also of Dhuhr, Asr and Isha. And this third rak'ah and the fourth for Dhuhr, Asr and Isha, they will be lighter than the other ones. And he will recite Al-Fatiha. Al-Fatiha. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he will sit. He will sit in a way making tawarruk. So his left foot will be on the ground and his right foot will be erected and he will sit, make sure to rest his buttocks on the ground. That's called tawarruk. Then he recite the last tashahhud, saying the same thing he said in the first one, and then he said, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallayta ala ali Ibrahim innaka hamidun majid wa barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala ali Ibrahim innaka hamidun majid. Then the person, now we're talking about the last tashahhud, then he will seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from those four things. Min adab Jahannam, the punishment of Jahannam, adab al-qabr, the punishment of the grave, fitnat al-mahya wal-mat, the trial of the living and the dead, the fitnat al-masih al-dajjal, and the trial of the masih al-dajjal. And then you make dua, you ask Allah what you want. Better if you learn those du'as that is in the Quran and dua that is from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Then the Prophet ﷺ would say salam on his right. He will say Salamu alaykum wa rahmatullah, And the same thing he will say on his left, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How you do the salam, listen, pay attention here, inshallah. Look how he starts. He will start while he's facing the Qibla. Say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And he finish it while he's turned into the right. So he say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Not like some people say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Some people say, Assalamu alaikum. I don't know why they do that. Just when you look straight, say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Make sure you go. No, not like, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So, like Prophet ﷺ used to turn. When Prophet ﷺ finished the taslim, he would say Astaghfirullah 3 times, and then he would say Allahumma innaka anta as-salam minka as-salam tabarakta ya dhal jalali wal ikram. He made the dhikr that the Prophet ﷺ taught us that we do, like saying Subhanallah 23 times and the like. Then the Shaykh says, O Muslim, this is a brief and concise way and description of the salat of the Prophet ﷺ in accordance with the text of the Quran and the Sunnah. You should learn this and take good care of it. Treat this as something that is very important, so that your salat be in accordance to the best of your ability with the salat of the Prophet ﷺ. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. Indeed, you have in the Messenger of Allah ﷺ the excellent example for anyone whose hope is in Allah and the last day, and who remembers Allah often. ونسأل الله للجميع التوفيق والقبول. The Shaykh said, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us all success and to accept our good deeds. Inshallah ta'ala, we're going to stop here. We'll give you a break, and then we continue inshallah ta'ala our last session today after Maghrib. And we mentioned 2 things, certain things that disliked in the salat and the things that are permissible to do in the salat bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Jazakumullah khairan wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallama taslima kathira.